Hey, and welcome to TBD, a podcast dedicated to the way people choose to live their lives. We try to take a look into lifestyles ranging from minimalism to veganism and all the weird isms in between. We'll see how looking at these odd ways of living might just be able to teach us something worthwhile. Welcome.
Welcome. Today's week we're going to talk about minimalism.
Yeah.
Today's week.
Hey everybody, today's week we're going to talk about minimalism and our experiences with it. Is this the start?
It's a thing that we did. You ruined it by saying, is this the start?
I'm sorry. It is though. So we did a little experiment a while back with minimalism.
Something we both wanted to try out. So we did 1 week of whatever we could do minimalism style.
Yeah, those were the very strict rules, whatever we could do. So, in the spirit of the show, we gave ourselves a challenge to, I think the general rules were basically reduce the amount of clothes that we wore. We didn't have like X number of shirts, but it was... we both kind of got to about the same thing. About enough clothes for the week.
Yeah,
right?
Just reducing.
Yeah. Similarly, we did our, bathrooms, toiletries and your makeup and stuff like that.
Makeup and, all of my, body butter, product, lotion, everythings.
And then, just, day-to-day stuff, like coffee mugs and water bottles and...
Yeah. As much as we could.
Yes. And since then, I've actually gone ahead and bought a nice, which in the spirit of minimalism,
In the spirit of minimalism, though, we bought the exact same water bottle without realizing it.
Wait,
did you know that?
One? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the one you're holding up. I bought that exact same one, but in gray.
Really? Wait, with this pattern?
Yes.
Wait, really? I thought you got the spirally one. Oh, no way. So, yeah, I think, honestly, it is in the spirit of minimalism because I think having, a designated water bottle, one of them, and then one designated coffee mug, one of them, is helpful.
Mine was also in the spirit of dehydration, but also minimalism.
Yeah. I was
But
dying.
yeah, so we bought a specific water bottle or a specific coffee mug after the experiment because we were like, hey, that worked really well for us to not have 600 that I have to wash at the end of the week.
Right. And building up a mountain of mugs that you have to figure out which one's the least dirty that you can pick up and use.
Mugs are my demise. I love to collect mugs, but then I'm every time I make a cup of coffee, I use a new mug basically. And then I'm whatever, I don't want to wash the last one. I'll just get a new one. And then after, 3 days of coffee mugs, I'm now it's going to take me 45 minutes to wash all these dang mugs.
Scrub all these, yeah. Yeah, and I was the same way. I liked the cool, fun coffee mugs. Ooh, this is a cool coffee mug. I should get this. And then, I even have, on my desk right now, I have an old coffee mug that I used to use a lot, but now I just stick with my one travel mug.
Repurposed it. Put some pens in it.
There you go. I don't want to do that because I think there's some gross unwashed coffee in the bottom of it, but...
Okay, we'll wash it out and reuse, recycle, renew.
That's what this podcast is all about.
The 3 R's.
Yep. I can't even remember how you said them.
So talk about how you organized your clothes and stuff for the week.
So, yeah, I took a lot of inspiration from watching YouTube videos and kind of browsing the minimalism subreddit, but basically had just a few t-shirts that I would wear, and then, enough undershirts to get me through a week of work, and then, I think I had 5 nice shirts that would go along with those, 1 pair of sweatpants, 1 sweatshirt, and just kind of use those as lounge wear after work. And it was super nice. I mean, I know that it's changed a little bit, but I've kind of stuck to that system since then. And it's been a few weeks, maybe a month now since we've done that.
Yeah, a few weeks.
And I've been keeping up with it for the most part. Yeah, it's just so much easier for me to have less. And it's your coffee mug example. It's your coffee mug example for me. It's at the end of, a week and a half, 2 weeks of not doing, probably 2 weeks plus of not doing laundry, I have to do so many loads of laundry, and it takes up an entire day.
Yeah.
So, it's been
that was
super
the
nice.
That was one thing that you and I talked about. Like, I thought that I was going to be so stressed about minimalism because I would have to do laundry like every few days, basically, or like at least wash a couple of things every couple of days. And I was like, it's going to be so inconvenient. But I never had to spend more than like one load of laundry working on laundry. Whereas like when I don't have a minimalist life and I have all of these clothes and I let it pile up until the last minute, then I spend an entire day doing laundry, and that ends up giving me way more stress where you can just keep up on it. So like it was really interesting how that like kind of flipped when we started doing it.
Oh yeah. And I think that as a byproduct of minimalism, I mentioned this, having less around not only like eliminates clutter, but it makes you want to, since there's so few things to clean up in the first place, it's pretty easy to just keep my room and living area pretty clean.
Totally. And it makes you want to take better care of the stuff that you do have.
Yes.
I even found myself like after work, because I knew I was going to be wearing that cardigan again, like folding it up and making sure that I was like keeping everything really nice. Like I feel like you want to invest into better stuff that's going to last you longer and that you can like take better care of.
Yeah. And that's my biggest takeaway, I think, from the whole experiment with minimalism is it makes you appreciate what you have a lot more. And exactly what you're saying, it makes you want to get better things, and so that you can take better care of those things.
Yeah, totally. I thought that was really cool. And the only other thing that like I kind of had a different experience with, and we talked about a little bit, was like makeup and like art stuff. Like anything that I can be really like creative with, it was kind of the opposite. Like I just felt so limited. Like I wanted to be able to play around with different like artistic things. Like especially for me, like I love doing makeup and like making it like really different or doing different like colors, or like to me colors, like having wide ranges of colors when it comes to like makeup or art or anything like that, it's hard for me to limit those kinds of things. I feel like you have to be a little more resourceful with what you have, and it probably encourages some creativity, but like when it comes to art stuff, I like to have everything that I want to have, you know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing that was interesting about browsing the minimalism subreddit is it talked a lot about it's not about owning less, it's about reducing the unnecessary, sort of as a paraphrase to how they at least saw minimalism. Of course you're going to find minimalists who are sort of elitist in the way that they want to reduce as much as possible. It's sort of a numbers game. I think in terms of what you want to pursue creatively or things that are your passion, if you're a reader, if you're a photographer, like, of course you're going to want a lot of gear, or at least gear that you can make use of and you don't feel is limiting your creativity.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like extensive. Like I don't have to have a ton of stuff from, every single, like brand or whatever, but it's like you want to have the tools that you're used to having, or I don't know. It probably does encourage you to kind of like think outside the box when you're a little bit more minimalist with stuff.
Yeah, it might put you in a creative challenge.
But even like technology wise, like for recording our podcast and like making videos and stuff, like I like to have all the tools so I can feel like I can be creative with the things that I'm making.
Sure, definitely. And I think there's a balance, right? I mean, I don't own 10 different kinds of mics, and I'm not trying to, buy all this stuff. I think how we're pursuing minimalism in this podcast is not feeling like we don't need to buy things to be great. Like, our purchases aren't going to make our show better, or the equipment we're using isn't going to make our show better. I mean, we want good quality, of course, but
right, exactly.
We're not going to spend $1,000 on a microphone just to be better than the next guy. It's about just making things, right? So.
Right, totally. But it's fun to have like different fun editing softwares or different fun things to kind of like encourage the creativity or encourage us to make something.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the entirety of minimalism as a practice, it definitely it resonates a lot with me, and it's something that I think I like to pursue. And just in terms of aesthetic, I think being minimalist is it looks good, having less stuff and having more intentional things. Like
totally.
You'll watch YouTube channel apartment tours, and there's like not a lot, but the stuff that they have is very nice. It's very
oh yeah, no, I like that style too. And like if you come to my house, like there's not a lot of things like on the counters, and like things on the walls are very simple, and like I like that aesthetically how it looks, and like it doesn't feel cluttered, and it feels like clean and put together and like simple.
Sure. And I think a lot of it works for me. I think it's something I would definitely pursue further. It's just the hardest part is to start getting rid of things. I mean, I can definitely I'm minimalist in the things that I'm using, but the hang up for me is actually taking the step to remove the unnecessary. In my closet right now, I'm looking at it. There is suitcases of clothes that I am not using, especially because of this challenge that we did, and a box, a full cardboard box full of all of these little knick-knack game whatever things that I don't use, that are the sort of maybe one day. And I know that they can go. I just have trouble getting rid of them.
See, for me, it's just kind of laziness. Like right behind me, too, I have a bunch of boxes of stuff that I've already packed to take to Salvation Army. Like, I don't want it. I don't need it. But it does take serious, like, work and effort to go through all of the stuff that you have and decide really, like, what you need and what you're going to use.
Definitely. Yeah. So, like, what do you think would make... What would you pursue in minimalism? What wouldn't you pursue? I know we already talked about the creative side of things, but is it something that you think overall is a...
Yeah, totally. Like basic things like cleaning out all of those like junk knick-knacky drawers that you have that like it's just full of crap that you never ever use. Like that kind of stuff I would get rid of. I'm not like a huge clothes person. Like I'm not like, I need to buy the newest. Like, I'm not like super girly when it comes to clothes. So I would probably get rid of a bunch of my clothes, like downsize that majorly, and then keep going with like my house stuff, like reducing the amount of mugs and things and just kind of investing in some good ones. Problem is, though, I lose everything. Like, I always lose stuff, and it makes me so mad. Like, maybe if I only had one water bottle, I'd be better about not leaving it places.
Exactly.
But even like that water bottle that I just showed you, I literally just got it like a month ago, and I already know that I left it at yoga this weekend. So I'm like, I have to get it from yoga. I can't forget. So, like, I feel like I buy, like, 2 of everything because I'm, like, probably going to lose one.
Yeah.
So maybe stopping that.
Yeah, stop losing things.
I know. And I guess if I only have one, then I'm like, okay, take better care of it and don't forget it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess it's something minimalism, the positives for me are it just gives me more intentional it makes me be more intentional with what I have, what I don't. And I like that about it. It makes me more thoughtful about what I choose to do and what I don't do. Like, silly example, but just like coming home from work today, I have my one travel mug for coffee and my one water bottle for water, of course.
Water?
Yes.
That water.
In the past, I had multiple coffee mugs, and I would... This is so disgusting. I don't even know if I would admit this on the show.
Ew,
but I would have multiple coffee mugs that I would just like kind of throw in my back seat, and they just kind of jingle around as I'm driving. And in the morning, sometimes when I didn't have a clean mug of coffee, I would run out to my car, grab an old, dirty, musty mug, run back in.
Ew.
Rinse it out. Like I wouldn't even wash it. I would just rinse it out and like pour hot coffee in there and go. And
be like, well, that's good enough.
Yeah, and so after work today, I just grabbed my one mug, my one water bottle, walk in and put it by
I
the
would
sink.
do that too, though. Like throw stuff in the back of my car and then be like, shoot. And then I'd be like, I have to clean out my car. And then I'd clean out my car and take like 10 water bottles out of the back of my car and have to like scrub the nasty out of all of them and be like, what's wrong with me?
What's growing back here?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man, I've seen your
car.
Is
disgusting.
I don't know if it's still like that, but man, it's...
No, I've gotten so much better, but like, oof. Yeah, I just used to like live in my car basically because I was always just driving everywhere.
Yeah.
And so things would just pile up and it was not a good look. So what are some negatives, some minimalism negatives, or things that you would probably not take away from it? I have one.
That's how asking questions works.
Well, I just thought of it as I was asking you.
Yeah.
Like minimalist elitists is something I am not on board with.
For sure. Yeah.
People who are like, you're not being minimal enough.
Right. I agree.
Slack. I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah. I think that's going to be an overarching theme on the show is sort of middle ground rather than fully committing, you know?
Who knows? I might just buy a tiny house and become a minimalist tomorrow.
Hey, there you go.
But for this one, I'm not on the elitist train.
Like people who say having a bed frame is not minimalist enough or having a mattress is not. I mean, I'm not kidding you. There are people on the minimalist subreddit who I saw having that conversation. Like, and for some people, yeah, that's fine. But I think it's definitely wrong to...
If it works for you, then great. But like, I need a mattress.
Right, and I think it should definitely be. Okay, here's a question: do you think it should be challenging? Do you think being a minimalist should be somewhat of a challenge, or do you think it should be to the point of comfort? Because then that's kind of hard.
Yeah, I think. If you're somebody who lives like a very standard way, it will be a challenge when you start. But I think that the goal should be comfort. The goal is not creating more stress. It's supposed to be creating less stress.
Okay.
It's supposed to be removing things from your life. And if you're adding stress and like challenge, I feel like it's kind of defeating the purpose. But I do think that if you're starting out at a very like you have a ton of just junk laying around, downsizing and becoming more minimalist is always going to be a challenge. But I think that your end goal should be comfort and not final challenge. What do you think?
I think that's a good point. I think at first I disagreed, but now I kind of agree with you. I think initially it should be a challenge because, like you're saying, it should be about reducing the unnecessary, the things that create noise in your life, and bringing it down to the basics. I think at first that will always be a challenge, but if it's to the point of like discomfort during your life, then maybe it's not so healthy. Although I think like the kind of the part of minimalism that is interesting to me is it's very like not what most people do. So of course it's going to be somewhat difficult to live that way, right?
I think, yeah, but I think I think it can be challenging, but if it comes to the point of like uncomfort and you're gaining happiness from it and you're not reducing stress.
It's fine.
Sorry about the dog fight. If you're not reducing stress and gaining happiness from it, then I feel like you're missing the point a little bit. Like, I think that the ultimate goal of minimalism is for yourself, so that it's not really one of those things where it's like, I don't know, maybe correct me if I'm wrong if you're a minimalist, but I feel like minimalism isn't something you do for other people. Like, it's not something that you're doing like for the environment or for, it's like recycling is annoying but you do it because it's good for the environment. Whereas like when you're reducing things in your life, you're reducing your stress, you're reducing things that you have to worry about, which probably in turn like makes you a better person for other people, and you can do more stuff for the environment or whatever it is that your cause is. But I feel like that's kind of the point of it, is to make yourself live in a state that's happy and comfortable for you, and you don't have all this over necessary stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Do you feel like that's different?
Slightly, just because I always feel like comfort for some people is overwhelming possessions, just having a lot of stuff and saving things, because throwing things away makes them uncomfortable.
That's true, but maybe is that like a deeper issue?
Sure, but I mean,
like, is it really making you comfortable, or is it
people.
Right? Like, is it really making you comfortable, or is it a safety blanket to something else that you are not dealing with?
Exactly. And
like
who's to know that? Right, sure, yeah. Hoarders are pretty comfortable.
Let's talk about hoarding.
Huh?
I don't think hoarders are comfortable, but I think it's a compulsion that they like.
You don't think so? Do you think it's more uncomfortable for a hoarder to hoard or to throw their things away?
No, I think that there's a psychological compulsion that's making them hoard, that's making it uncomfortable for them to get rid of stuff.
Right.
But I think that causes so much stress. When you have a constant compulsion of not being able to throw things away, you're living in a state of constant stress.
Chicken and the egg, I feel like.
That's true.
It's hard to know. I think...
Like, why do you start hoarding?
Right. Here's the thing. Ultimately...
Is hoarder the opposite of a minimalist?
I think so, because I think you can be too minimalist as well. I think
that could become a compulsion too. Like, I can't hold on to anything because I'm trying so hard to be minimalist, and I don't want to stress about anything.
Sure.
So I don't even want to have a mattress.
Right.
Maybe.
I would say so. I think ultimately there's a balance, but I do think having enough is kind of the line. Like, having enough to be comfortable and survive is probably a good place to aim. I'd say that being more minimalist, especially in like today's society of very maximalist, is a definite better route to take than hoarding.
I agree. I don't think that hoarding... I'm not comparing hoarding to minimalism. I don't think that they're both on like the same level.
Right.
I think finding a healthy balance in a very like maximalist, like you called it, environment is really healthy and something that everybody should try to do at least to some degree.
Sure. And I agree with that. I think that's kind of the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something comfortable. But I'm interested to hear from people who are like very committed to a minimalist lifestyle. Like,
definitely.
Do you feel like it pushes you to a point of challenging yourself where you feel like day to day it's something that you're constantly like thinking about and worrying about and stressing about? Or do you feel like it's something that's kind of let you let go of things and be able to like live your life a little bit better?
Yeah, and I don't know if there would be people, but hoarders, or not hoarders, but like people who see minimalism maybe negatively, who think minimalism isn't a good practice or a good way to live, or just choose not to. Why? Like, what would their counter arguments be? And to do that, you can tweet at us at TBD the podcast.
The podcast. Yep.
Is it
what?
Is it underscore the podcast?
No, I think it's just TBD the podcast.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you're right. It's TBD underscore the podcast on Twitter.
On Twitter. So tweet at us or email us.
And I think that this will be posted on YouTube as well, so you can leave a comment too if you want, letting us know if you have any experience with minimalism, if you love it, if you hate it, what your opinions are, if we got anything wrong. We're both total beginners to this. We don't have any experience with it, so we're not trying to say that we know about minimalism. We definitely are just speaking from our own experience and really want to understand other people's perspective.
For sure. I think my experiment with minimalism kind of helped me understand how most minimalists think, and I think most minimalists are pretty middle ground people who...
I agree.
And I like that too. So,
I agree. And I think it gave me, our week of doing minimalism gave me a greater appreciation for minimalism than I had before. And even going into it, I thought that it was such a good idea and something that I really wanted to adapt. And then going into it, it was better than I even kind of thought it would be.
Yeah. So I guess
something I'll certainly carry with me.
Yeah. The ultimate question at the end of it is minimalism. Is it something you'll continue to do? Something, that's just a fad for you, or what? Where does it land for you?
It's something that I will continue to do. Absolutely.
Yeah. Same.
It's going to be a slow process for me specifically, because I feel like clearing out is going to take some time, but I will absolutely continue.
Yeah, I agree. I think minimalism is probably one of the more interesting to me in terms of how I'm actually going to apply it to my life. So I think it's going to actually impact me more than most of our topics, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I think it's definitely going to keep up in my life. So
cool.
Yeah.
So
all right.
Minimalism, two thumbs up. Minimalism. 2 thumbs up. You're doing great work.
2 little thumbs up.
2 mini thumbs up.
All right. So
the other thing too is you can, if you have any ideas, some isms that you want us to try out, you can also tweet that to us.
Ooh, yeah. Hashtag TBDism. I don't know.
TBDism.
Yeah,
because we're open. We want to try some new stuff. We want to understand how other people are living, and we want to dive in. So if you have some suggestions, if you have a cool lifestyle or an ism that is important to you, let us know. We'll check it out.
Definitely. Is it time to get off topic?
Off topic. Let's do it. Let's derail.
What have you been doing? What do you find interesting this week?
Well, I'm kind of stuck. I'm in a podcast rut.
Okay.
I feel like I need some new podcasts. I need some new content so I can consume some new content, whether it's like YouTube or anything. I feel like no good shows are out, no good new podcasts have come out. I feel like I need some content. I'm in a content rut.
Okay. So I actually meant to listen to this at work today, but I didn't have any time. But I do have a podcast that I want to suggest to you. Last time we recorded, we talked about Overcast, the podcast app, as well as some of my podcasts that I listen to. Have you checked out any of those?
I did download Overcast, but
Thoughts?
I did not listen to the ones that you said.
Okay. But what do you think of the app?
I think it's awesome. I think it's real cool.
Yeah, me too. I started listening to the Ground Up Show episode today.
Oh, you really liked that.
Yeah, I'm super into it. And I found a new podcast.
Okay.
That I haven't listened to, so I actually have no idea if it's good, but it is called Do by Friday. D-O by Friday.
Okay.
And the idea is it's a weekly challenge that the hosts give to their listeners. And I think that they'll probably participate in as well, sort of, I guess, somewhat similar to how we want to structure this of trying new lifestyles, but they're doing these challenges.
Yeah.
And they present a new challenge that gives them something unique to do every week.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Kinda
some
like
examples.
What we want to do.
This week's challenge, throw something away. This week's challenge, watch Steve Jobs' The Lost Interview. Play really bad chess. Make our cats sit. Take a nap. Organize your iPhone. Curse like a Scot. And it's just funny like a Scottish.
Like a Scot? Ah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it sounds super interesting to me. It sounds like a cool way to challenge yourself, and I don't know.
Yeah. I'm going to check it out. That sounds fun. That sounds like something that's like right up our alley, like kind of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to listen, and it was recommended to me on Overcast, so I figured, why not?
I had a couple of podcasts that were recommended to me today that I was like, oh, that looks kind of interesting. I can't find it now. I'll have to go back and look, but I don't know. I feel like I've been like searching for new stuff, but it's all kind of like been the same. Like nothing new is coming out. Also recommend us new podcasts on Twitter too, because that's all we do ever is just listen to podcasts. So we burn through them pretty quick.
For sure. One thing that I watched. Oh, okay.
I did think of one.
Okay. A podcast?
A podcast that I want to listen to. They always talk about it on My Favorite Murder, so like I have to. But the No Sleep podcast.
What's that? Is it like a spooky story?
I think, or no, it's called not the No Sleep one. That one might be spooky stories. I think it's called Sleep With Me or like Fall Asleep With Me or something.
Oh, I think I've actually heard of that.
It's called Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep.
Yeah, I've actually seen, I don't know if it was an ad or something on the app, but.
And it looks really interesting. Like, it looks really good. And I always am down to listen to a podcast while I'm trying to fall asleep because I never sleep.
Yeah, would you do that? That's usually when I'm trying to fall asleep, I usually listen to either a podcast or a YouTube video. Listening to people in the background helps me fall asleep.
Me too. I like to have something on in the background to sleep. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to check this out because I'm always listening to My Favorite Murder and then I doze off and then I'm like, dang it. And then I have to go back because like I don't want to miss any information. So yeah, I don't want to fall asleep to that one. So I need one that I can put on that I'm like good falling asleep to.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'm going to check that one out. That's going to be on my to-do list.
One thing that I watched recently, as I kind of scroll through what I've previously watched on YouTube and stuff, I watched a Tiny Desk, the NPR Tiny Desk concerts. You ever see those?
No.
Really? Music
No.
Tiny Desk concert?
No.
So they have artists come in and perform for their office, and it's this cool little venue where they'll perform a live piece, and it's like a lot of really quality artists are on there. But I watched Chance the rapper on there.
Oh, yeah.
And it was interesting. It was good. I liked it. He wrote a poem, and he was like, I don't write poetry often, and I wanted to do something unique because I'm very honored to be on this show. So he wrote a poem, and it was good, and just a cool performance. That's all. Go watch it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Send it to me so I know what to look up.
Yeah.
Because I'll forget.
I like Chance a lot, and his performances are cool. So.
Cool. Is that everything?
I think so. I didn't have anything incredibly memorable. I didn't see any movies or anything. But
no, me neither. Well, I think that's everything.
I think that's it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Tweet us whatever you want. Your ideas, suggestions, feedback.
TV shows, movies. Give me something, please.
Give me a podcast to listen to.
Mm-hmm. Get The Rock on Matt Diavella's podcast. I'll help him out if he hears this. Shout me out, bro.
You're already promoting, and we have 2 episodes.
Word. He's trying to get The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, on his podcast. That's his goal.
I'm aware who The Rock is.
Well, I just wanted to make that clear.
I was fully aware.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember if there's anything else that I watched, but I think that's it. So
I think that's everything.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We appreciate you. Whoever's out there, we love you.
Yeah, we look forward to what you got to say about minimalism, and we just want to hear what you have to say about your life.
Yeah. So, thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. That's a very
Bye.
That's a very My Favorite Murder outro.
They're my favorites.
Bye.
Bye. Stay sexy and don't get murdered. Bye.